Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
And hello all, happy Valentine's Day. Yeah. I know. This was once called the most romantic program on the YouTube platform. I forget who called it that, but it's probably done in a moment of weakness.
What?
I'm just saying there's an undercurrent of romance, and that's better, I think, than like in-your-face romance. Yeah. Albert, I do love you, and I'm glad you had
thank you.
Chance to make it today. Kim, I love you too.
Kim, how are you?
Oh, that's nice.
And I love everybody who's joined us today. Big shout out. I love Albert, says and I love Mark, says the graphic that's up right now.
Right now, it's mating season, and they're hungry.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It's true. I don't know. All right, today we have a lot of great stuff. It's a big political day, and the politics are associated with the president, Joe Biden, also with the special election in New York's 3rd District that was flipped, and might there be something in that for Democrats to carry to the general? I think you can get a little too excited about the flipping of the district in terms of what it might mean for the general election. But I also think there are things to be learned from that 3rd district split, that flip, I should say, that Tom Suozzi, is it Suozzi? Is that how he says his name? How does he say his name, Kim?
I say Susie, but I think it's fine.
All right, Susie.
Doesn't matter, really.
Albert, I'll ask you to run the levels today. We've had a little issue with audio levels recently. I don't know why. I mean,
Do I sound too loud or something?
You sound great to me. Everybody sounds great.
Yeah, I've been writing everyone's levels so far. I turned Kim down just a tad earlier. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I wish we could turn Kim down sometimes.
You know what? It's Valentine's Day. There is no call for that rudeness today.
What?
There's no call for that attitude, sir.
Where is the don't I have a Kim drop like that? Where she says, I blame you or something like that? Isn't there?
I do blame you.
I blame you.
That's
Thank
it, right?
you.
Yeah, that's it. I blame you.
I blame you.
Right.
Listen to the passion behind that. That's great.
It's kind of.
I blame you.
Yeah, very good. Well, anyway. Thank you, everybody who's wishing us well today, and thanks, everybody, for hanging with us on this show that we really birthed out of a radio station in San Francisco, California. Yeah, KGO Radio was a big talk radio station, and we took this show from KGO Radio to this platform on YouTube. Took everybody from the KGO Radio show, Kim and Albert, et cetera. So that's why this show has the feel sometimes of a radio show on YouTube, and, it's kind of this hybrid. Anyway, John Rothmann's going to be here bottom of the hour today. He's a fan favorite, and I'm looking forward to talking to him about what I mentioned, which is the flipping of the district in New York. I'll also ask him about the impeachment of Mayorkas in what essentially was a theater impeachment, right? It was a show impeachment. Be sure to tell your Valentine, do you know who I am? Jim Slayton.
Big shout out.
Thank you for the $5. And
do you know who I
do.
I'm kind of a big deal.
I greet her every day with that statement. How lucky she is to be involved with. I said today, this is very true. This is exactly what the exchange was. I said, Happy Valentine's Day, and the cleaning lady is not coming today. Yeah.
Hey, which one of you is Mark Thompson?
I swear that's exactly what happened.
Like you greet her in bed with the Coachella Valley coffee, a steaming mug of coffee.
She was. By the way, we had the tea last night. We had the Coachella Valley tea. When I say we, both of us drank it, and it's so delicious. We had that. It's something with date something. Albert, maybe you can find it on the Coachella Valley website. I'm so sorry. That's speaks to the extemporaneous nature of this show. I wasn't planning or preloading anything to talk about Coachella Valley coffee. Extemporaneous is a ding word. The site has all of these teas. Yeah, so if you go down there at the bottom left, there it is.
There it is.
Mint with date crystals. Do you see it there? Yeah, that's what we had last night. And we watched a little of that Truman Capote thing that's on Hulu.
Wow, it's quite a
was
night
like
at your house.
Yeah.
Tea and TV. Okay.
And then I laid out a stream of rose petals to the bedroom.
It's the high romance.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And then I scooped the cat litter and cleaned up the pee that was outside of the cat box.
Oh,
yes,
no.
It was quite special. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Albert, we have quite the show. Almost don't know where to start. I would like to put off the heavy politics maybe until we talk to John Rothmann, bottom of the hour. Do you think that makes sense?
That makes sense. A lot of sense.
I will address the polling that might favor, excuse me for a second.
Mm-hmm. Might favor President Biden, I believe is what
Might
you're gonna
favor
say.
President Biden,
Yeah.
exactly. The polling really depends on the pedigree of the poll. And there's so much constant polling, and polling can be so instructive, but polling can also be deceptive. And maybe I'll do that now, Albert. Do you mind if I give a little bit of, that's a taste of politics on the Biden thing, and then we push the rest of it to the bottom of the hour? Because I have a lot about layoffs at Paramount. I've got layoffs at Sirius. I have layoffs in so many different places in the media universe. Also news of Disneyland. I've got a Law and Disorder. So let me do, I don't want to overrule Albert. I like to, when he's the producer, Kim, I like to have him make producer-type decisions. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
So he says, put it off to bottom of the hour. Pamela Kirby, let me just say this, for 20. Flowers for Mark T. Show on my anniversary, 30 years. Wow.
Big shout out.
Big shout out for the 20.
Yeah.
Thank you for the super chat. And for 30 years together.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry.
It is cryable, 30 years.
I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry.
And it's sweet. It really is sweet. Wow,
Happy
30
anniversary.
years.
Yeah, that's a crazy amount of time.
There's something about relationships now, and Chris Rock does this in his act, and I think he's right. He talks about the fact that he was married for whatever it was, 11 years or whatever. He said, but that was post cell phones, meaning cell phones were already in the culture and in use when he got married. And he says, so when you get married and there's cell phones, for every year you spend married, it's like 10 years from the old days with no cell phones. He sort of makes this general point. I'm not doing his act. I'm just kind of completely taking his concept. And I thought, he's right. Because his point is, in the old days, before cell phones, like 30 years ago when Pamela was married, right? Mm-hmm. Isn't it? How long have cell phones been around, Albert?
Google it.
I think it. She started before they were part of the game. You didn't talk to the person or weren't really in touch with your spouse or other half for much of the day. One person's doing one thing, they're working, they're doing whatever, and the other person's doing something else. And then you see each other at dinner or you see each other at lunch or whatever it might be, but there are whole chunks of the day during which you're not in touch. And
that's still the way. I mean, are you in constant contact with Courtney? Because I'll go long swaths without texting my husband.
Swaths is a ding word. I think that, so it was 1993 you had the huge...
I'd say early 2000s. You had the brick Nokia phones. That's when it started being a thing.
Yeah, so 30 years ago, you've started your relationship without them. Honestly, we are kind of in constant contact.
That's sweet.
No, it's not. It's a total pain. Please. Hi, honey. Yes, I still love you. Yeah. No, I mean, it's. I only would suggest to you that changes the nature of the connection. You know, Chris Rock is very funny about it. He said my dad used to go to work at 6:30 in the morning. He'd come home at 8:30 at night. They wouldn't talk all day.
Yeah.
I mean, he said we could have, as kids, we could have died, and he would know about it till 8:30 at night. So it is. I don't know. I think it depends on the relationship. Of course, you're right.
Yeah.
But my mom was nagging my dad. This is from Lori. On the earliest cell phones in the 1980s, even made him get a car phone earlier because he's a doctor. Yeah, I remember there were car phones too. That's right. The Motorola
Remember with the
brick
twirly
as well.
antenna on the back of the vehicle? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Those were cool. Yeah. Lori, this is true, and I think it's kind of romantic. In 1993, my boyfriend and I had secret codes of love for pagers. Yeah, I thought that was I remember that. One of them was 143. Is that it?
143. I love you type of thing.
Yeah. That was really romantic. I remember that 143. Yeah. Anyway, constant contact would be too much for me, says John. Yeah. I had my first cell phone, I think, in 1998-ish, says Kay in Santa Rosa. I remember getting it at a certain job, and I wasn't there a year or so later. Yeah. Absence makes the heart grow fonder, says shadow producer Calvin Wong. Yeah, I think there is a quality. You would concede that, right, Kim? That when you don't talk to somebody for a little while, you look forward to speaking with them, right?
You're excited to sit down with them and find out how their day was and whatnot. Yeah,
Mama de 3 boys says, I almost never call my husband. He's always busy. I've been married 7 years.
Yeah. I mean, David's working. I'm working. We don't have time for this, the texting and the chit chat. We're busy doing something else.
Yeah. First cell phone in 1995, and I still have the same number, says Heidi. Well, that's an interesting brag. Yeah, I've changed my number once. Eileen Horton with a super sticker. Thank you for $10.
Big shout out.
Thank you for the Valentine's Day love.
Or should I say Galentine's Day?
Oh, yeah, the Galentine's Day was yesterday, right?
Is it? I don't know. I thought Galentine's was when you were either ditching your dude or your person, or you were eschewing Valentine's Day altogether. And so instead you get together with friends, girlfriends, and you go out and you're like, who needs a man? Woo!
Oh, I see. But you could be celebrated on either day, yesterday or today.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Eschew would be a ding word.
Every day's Galentine's Day for me, Kim.
Yeah.
Albert, thank you.
What was I saw something that was good here. Let me just quickly, on the pronunciation of the dude who just flipped the district in New York. Croquet Film says the name is pronounced Suozzi.
Okay.
I lived in the district, he says, when he was the mayor of Glen Cove, New York. Well, Rothman will be the last word on how to say it. Probably,
with a little luck, we'll never have to say his name again. He won't commit any crimes. He won't be a major liar. He's just a congressman from a district in New York that really...
Hey, Mark, it's George Santos here.
Yeah.
You just keep a low profile, do your job. That's all we ask.
Yeah. But you hope that you do your job and it's, your name does make papers or media because you're doing some good things for your district and beyond, there's that. But Eileen Horton with a 20. Thank you for the 20.
Big shout out.
Big shout out.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let me mention, if I might, Albert, I'm going to put the polling on Biden down with John Rothmann. All right?
That's
I'm
fine.
Do that. Yeah, as we had originally planned. I do have some California news, and it's sort of it's Bay Area news. And again, this show emerged out of the Bay Area, so let me quickly hit you with some Bay Area news, and then got some law and disorder and other stuff. So,
The Mark Thompson Show.
Bay Area cities and counties could be on the hook for more than $200 million that they expected the feds to pay toward the cost of sheltering thousands of vulnerable homeless people in hotels during the pandemic. Local officials are saying now that they're scrambling to make up the funding gap at a time when their budgets are already stretched thin, as you know.
This story, I mean, what do you mean expected them to pay? Shouldn't there have been an ironclad deal in place? If we're going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on hotels for homeless people, shouldn't there have been a deal? Like, here's your percentage, federal government. Here's our percentage, state government. Here's how the bill will be paid. Not like, oopsies, at the end we're scrambling for cash.
Well, they expected the feds to pick up the tab because essentially, Newsom started that hotel program, that Project Room Key program, remember it? The beginning of the pandemic in April of 2020. And they moved 68,000 people in the state's most at-risk homeless people out of encampments and group shelters. And that was thought to be smart because the coronavirus could spread in those, super congregate settings, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, they expected the feds to pick up the tab, but in a letter to state officials, the feds, this is in FEMA, said they'd only reimburse hotel stays of up to 20 days between June 11th, 2021 and May 11th, 2023. Leased rooms that remained empty won't be covered either. So San Francisco, they doubled down on using hotel rooms for shelters in the last couple of years. They might not get $190 million. Sonoma County may have to cough up $32 million. Contra Costa County, $9 million. These are all places in the Bay Area.
This is ridiculous.
Oakland and Marin, more than $1 million each. Alameda County doesn't even know how much they'll lose. San Mateo doesn't either.
This all should have been agreed
totally
upon.
statewide,
This is wild.
Local governments could end up out $300 million, according to the Governor's Office of Emergency Services.
Who does business this way? I mean, this is outrageous. There should have been an ironclad deal in place before you book the room or you cancel out a lot of rooms to house the homeless. You should know who's covering it and how much. It's not a giant question mark at the end as to who's paying what. How does that work for counties around the state and the state? Ridiculous.
It is bizarre, and it is being appealed, and, local officials can appeal FEMA's decision, and Contra Costa County has already begun this. They've got to deal with a law firm that's in the appeals process. It's not clear how long an appeal could take. I mean, it might take a long time. But, this is the bureaucracy of dealing with FEMA. I mean, it if you've dealt with wildfires or other natural disasters in California. It can take a long time to work stuff out with the feds. And this is a to be continued story, but it could leave many communities in the Bay Area on the hook for a lot of money. So, but it just jumped out at me. I think it's a huge, huge story, and at a time when many communities are already strapped,
The Mark Thompson Show.
Thanks to Croquet Film. $10 on Valentine's Day. Thank you, Croquet. Yeah, right on. In fact, I think I got an email from
Big shout out.
Lee Kopp, who's a supporter from the early days.
Yeah.
Happy Valentine's Day. All you need is love and a little money. From Lee and Eileen, big shout out. And I'm not going to cry, but
I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry.
$25 is my cry number.
I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry.
I know what you're thinking. You're thinking you've lowered your cry number. Used to be much higher. Yeah. Tough times. Got to move your cry number around. You understand. Today is my parents' 64th anniversary, says R.J. Dunn.
64. That's great.
What?
That's
Congratulations.
That's a long time.
This is no picnic, no summer camp.
You're not, yeah. Well, for that long, there are going to be some tough times. I mean, meaning, you're going to rub up against each other the wrong way. But let's live in the celebration. They've kept it together. Congratulations. What was that last one? I missed it. Anyway, I'm reading, for those just listening, I'm just reading comments that are coming up on the board. Anyone surprised we get the shaft from the feds? Not, says OCB. Yeah, sadly, it's true. Kelly Malloy, thank you.
Big shout out.
Always supporting us, Kelly, and thank you for $2 today. And Spencer for a $5. Spencer Jaffe.
Big shout out.
Yeah, another 6. S. Jones has another $666.66. And we will see Mark T cry. Yeah, that would be, I might break into tears. I might break into tears for that. I really might. All right, let me get into this layoff news. It's kind of wild because, Paramount did really well with this Super Bowl, but
The Mark Thompson Show.
Paramount's live stream of the Super Bowl brought in record viewership, as you know. Kim, I believe you had the story yesterday that it was the most viewed
telecast
in history. And a lot of people streamed it. And by the way, the live stream that Paramount offered had problems. And
What?
Yes.
audio problems, right? Because it seemed like the audio was a little muffled or muted.
They had a total interruption of it for a short time. And
whoever is producing
yes,
this thing
they needed
has
that.
no idea what they're doing.
They needed that. They definitely needed that yesterday or Sunday. But meantime, after this record viewership, the new day brings layoffs to Paramount. Hundreds of workers. They're moving away from traditional TV. They lost more than $1 billion last year at their streaming division. And about 3% of the company's 24,500 employees affected by the layoffs. The chief executive of Paramount, a guy named Bob Bakish, sent a memo to employees that the cuts were part of a bid to, quote, return the company to earnings growth. They are at a crossroads, Paramount is. They have a controlling shareholder named Sherry Redstone. Remember Sumner Redstone?
Sumner's wife. Yeah.
If you haven't read about Sumner Redstone, let me recommend to you, just do a Google search.
Google it.
And go back and read some of the Vanity Fair stuff on him. He is, he stepped off. He's an older, really old guy and really rich guy. And he really divorced guy, I guess. I'm unclear. The marital arrangement seemed tortured at best. He was cavorting with these women, and he would have these wild parties, adult parties, with him and these women, and steak and mashed potatoes kind of thing. It's that weird. Like, it's almost like a Mad Libs, like steak and potatoes, adult theme parties, and super wealthy. Anyway, the tug of war between him and Sherry Redstone, it's worth a look. And I encourage you to go back and read about it.
Wasn't it one of the most expensive divorces ever or something? I forget.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was. And the family sued. That is, the kids sued for a piece of it. It had all the ugliness of a like a Succession type thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, more to the point, at Paramount, she's still a big part of things. She is considering selling her stake in the company. That could bring a lot of changes to this company. And Paramount has struggled to keep pace with Netflix, they say. Streaming services are increasingly overtaking TV and movie-going, as you know. And their biggest streaming service, Paramount Plus, has not yet become profitable. So that puts this drag on company profits. Paramount streaming division, which also includes ad-supported service, Pluto TV, lost more than $1 billion last year. And now they are laying out and laying off all those people I mentioned. But it's not only there. Nintendo. Sirius, cutting 3% of its workforce. Sirius XM. 11 months after Sirius XM cut 8% of its workforce, the company announced yesterday that it's going to eliminate another 3% of its staff. That's about 170 jobs based where? Doesn't say. But they will affect every team and business unit and will enable SiriusXM to invest in its content, they said. The world of radio, satellite, or terrestrial is troubled, right? Because you have Spotify and you have all of these, you have Apple Podcasts, you have this, you have YouTube. So increasingly there's pressure. That's the latest from Sirius. They lay off all of those people. So you've got layoffs at Paramount, layoffs at Sirius. There are the layoffs at TikTok that we told you about last week. And I thought this interesting. Nintendo's CEO wants to prevent layoffs, halved his salary. Yeah. Iwata, is this, what's his name? Is it Satoru Iwata?
Sure.
The former Nintendo CEO Satoru Iwata. Iwata ran the Kyoto based company Nintendo. They released the Wii U console, and it was a commercial failure, pushing the company into years of losses. To avoid layoffs, Iwata took a 50% pay cut to help pay for employees' salaries.
That's something you don't see every day.
Yeah. He said a fully staffed Nintendo would have a better chance of rebounding. Mm-hmm. Quote, if we reduce the number of employees for better short-term financial results, employee morale will decrease, and I sincerely doubt employees who fear that they may be laid off will be able to develop software titles that could impress people around the world. I mean, it's quite the story, right?
Yeah, and then they did rebound, and the Nintendo Switch came out in 2017, and those are still really popular today, and people are still buying them. So
wow, so happy ending there. I love it. Wow. Seems like that's fairly rare, which is why the story jumps out at me. There is this.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Gyms. That's right, places where people work out. Expected to get a huge spike when people follow through on those New Year's resolutions. They're going to get in shape. They're going to get in the gym. They're going to use that membership.
Yeah.
Not so much.
Oh.
Major gyms in the U.S. did not experience the traffic boom that they typically do in January. Foot traffic last month, typically the busiest month of the year, was flat over year to year at 10 major U.S. fitness chains. Sharp contrast to 23 and 2022. Planet Fitness, Equinox, nothing. People aren't going.
It's cold.
I blame you, Albert.
It's cold out there. Nobody
Why
wants to
can't you
hoof it to
kids
the
get
gym.
into the gym?
Albert, thank
Get
you.
it.
that's
Leave
a
the
January
bar.
activity, Mark. That's like from January 1st to like 11th, and then you start, and then every other appearance. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, apparently it tailed off pretty quickly because the January business was not great. The budget-friendly Planet Fitness, seen as a proxy for the industry as its largest chain, adds 400,000 members typically in January. That is about 25% of its 1.7 million yearly signups. But they are on track for their second worst quarterly sales growth since the pandemic.
We got to get out there and exercise, people.
Yeah, get moving, kids. Anyway, yeah, so people are not following through. I'm kind of encouraged by that, actually. Yeah, I like that. Well, I've got John Rothmann waiting. I've got the Democrats' recapture of a House seat, as you know, in New York.
Yeah.
I have a great law and disorder. There is I think, insane development in that Joel Osteen megachurch shooting and the United States of guns. Wow. Big news there. I will get to that as well. And then I promise we'll give you a big bowl of Valentine's Day to finish the show. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be beautiful. We're all going to rock together in a massive bowl of love. Yes, it really is going to be special. Yeah. Smash the like button like a boss if you would. Give us a thumbs up. It helps us when you smash it like a boss. Smash that thumbs up. Kim's News, and then the great John Rothmann, Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Yes, on the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister, and this report is sponsored by the amazing people at Tenuta Vineyards. Hello and good morning. Perfect for Valentine's Day. Maybe not such a good day for this fella. This is Alejandro Mayorkas, and the impeachment of the Homeland Security Secretary is now on its way to the Senate. House Republicans accused Mayorkas of high crimes and misdemeanors related to the southern border and impeached him yesterday by a one-vote margin. An acquittal in the Senate is believed to be a virtual certainty. The House Intelligence Committee is warning about a serious national security threat. Various reports say this threat is related to emerging Russian space technology. Ohio Republican Mike Turner said his committee made information on the threat available to members of Congress. They're not telling us exactly what the national security threat is, but apparently the House Intelligence Committee is warning there's a serious national security threat. A judge will determine if the Fulton County District Attorney can remain on Donald Trump's Georgia election interference case. This is a case about Fani Willis, as she's admitted to a relationship with a special prosecutor, Nathan Wade, but claims it began after she hired him. Willis is accused of benefiting financially by hiring Wade for $650,000, despite Wade allegedly never prosecuting a felony case. House Speaker Mike Johnson says last week's Justice Department report on President Biden's handling of classified documents shows that he is unfit to serve. That's what Mike Johnson says. Special counsel Robert Hur characterized President Biden as an elderly man with a poor memory in a DOJ report that cleared the president of any criminal wrongdoing. Despite calls from Republicans, the White House announced President Biden will not take a cognitive test as part of his upcoming physical exam. So, no thank you. There's a new medication out for frostbite.
He's not going to do the person,
man, woman,
camera,
person.
TV.
No, he's not doing that.
Okay.
There's a new medication that is now the first ever for frostbite to receive FDA approval. A trial of the injection Arolumin found patients who received the medication alone saw a lower risk of toe or finger amputation. Woohoo! You know, we had Alaska pox. We had the bubonic plague. Now I got a little frostbite for you. It's like you're welcome. The FDA did note that a number of common side effects include headaches, heart palpitations, nausea, and dizziness, but you get to keep your digits, so hey.
Better than having your finger cut off.
It's all good in the hood, as they say. It was a wild bet, Mark. It was a wild bet. It didn't quite pan out for the fine people at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Oh.
Maybe they got their money's worth because of, everyone like me showing their logo. All right. Heading into Super Bowl 58, Buffalo Wild Wings promised if the game went into overtime, everyone gets free wings.
Oh, my God.
I think there's a hint of desperation. I really do.
Well, how did it work out?
As you know, the game went into overtime.
Oh, my God.
The Kansas City Chiefs, of course, emerging victorious with a final score of 25-22. But that means that come Monday, February 26th, from 2 to 5 p.m. in local time zones, all dine-in and in-person takeout orders will be gifted one free order of wings per per customer.
Wow.
There's never been anything like this.
That is extraordinary.
Hey, you make the proclamation.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
gotta
who would
do
have
it.
thought? I don't know how many Super Bowls have gone into overtime. It might be like one other one.
Yeah, just one other one. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a pretty good bet, right?
Yeah, of course. Meaning you're betting it's not going to happen. You're saying.
Yeah.
But then it did.
Correction and apology.
What was that? Oh yeah, well, correction. I see. Yeah, correction.
Coughing up the
correction. Yeah, correction. We're expecting. We'll see you all at the Buffalo Wild Wings. Yeah, I know.
We've never seen anything like it before.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Nobody has ever put something like this together that I've ever seen.
I mean, you would think about it though. It's probably worth it to them, right? They're going to get
I think so.
incredible, incredible pub off of it. Yeah.
yeah. Unless they don't. I don't think they have vegan wings, but that's all right.
No,
No.
not.
Lastly, I know we have to go to Mr. Rothmann, whom I love, but the Orlando Magic retired number 32. That is the former center Shaquille O'Neal's number. They did it during a post-game ceremony yesterday. O'Neal becomes the first former Magic player to have his number retired by the team. He also becomes just the third player ever to have his number retired by 3 different franchises, joining
Wow.
Wilt Chamberlain and Pete Maravich.
That's unreal.
Congratulations, Shaq.
Yeah, Shaq. Good job.
Yeah. Way to go, buddy. We're proud. This report is sponsored by Tenuta Vineyards. They've got a lot of different types of wine there. I love the choices, all the choices in the world. They've got 28 varietals.
Kim likes choices.
14 reds, 14 whites. Sometimes I just want to sample.
Yeah.
Maybe the Mark Thompson Why Are You Yelling Red isn't doing it for me today.
Sure.
I'm just saying, sometimes
You want a
it doesn't.
flight of wines. You want to do
I
a
want a
flight, like
flight.
several different choices, just like
I
you
wanna
see there.
Sip and
They
I
have
want to
the
sample. I want to
They
taste
have
it
a
all.
they have a cab and a Mark T and a Zen and a yeah. What is
Yeah,
that? A Pinot up top. What is the PS? The
I don't
first
know.
one. That's what you. That's a sampler. That's that flight of wine. What is the PS? It would be a. What is that? Anybody? Somebody know? Somebody will know.
Pinot
We've only
something?
shown this picture, I don't know, 400 times, and we don't
Well, I
know
wasn't
what the PS
reading the Post-it note.
Well, I mean, you show it enough, and I start paying attention to different details.
you know, my eyes go to the wine in the glass, not the Post-it note.
Oh, Petite
and then the
Syrah.
vineyard in the
Thank you,
background.
James
Petite
Watson.
Syrah.
Yes, come on for James Watson.
That's so smart. So good.
Yeah, that's
Happy
Petite
Valentine's
now,
Day,
and then
James.
you have the what is that at the bottom?
The cab, the Mark T, the Zin, and the
Everybody knew Petite Syrah except us.
BML. Oh, the BML.
Yeah. Maybe to ask Rich what it is.
Yeah, we'll have to. Speaking of Rich, so friendly. His motto is, give him 30 minutes, you'll be friends for life. Go out to the winery, do a little tasting out in the Livermore Valley. Really, really, really nice.
There's the tasting menu. Albert has it up there now.
So good. So good. So
Oh,
BML is
go back up, Albert.
Black Mountain something.
Yeah, that's it. Black
the Black
Mamba
Mountains-
Syrah. No, Black Mamba
Mamba
Light.
Syrah port.
Maybe that's it. It's a Syrah. Black
Yeah.
Mamba Light. That's what it is. BML. Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, get your 10% off. Don't forget to do that. You just have to call them and you have to say smash it with your iron rod. And you get your 10% off Mark Thompson Show discount, 925-699-4576 to order. And it is well worth it. Lovely wine and lovely people.
Steve
I'm
says
Kim
he's on his way
McAllister.
there now. That's
That's
great.
good. Excellent.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm Kim McAllister. It's the Mark Thompson Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Shadow Stevens. This is the Mark Thompson Show. Keep it to yourself.
Who's Mark Thompson?
Loving all of you for being here on this Valentine's Day. We've got a major announcement about the show next hour. Also, we've got Law and Disorder next hour as well. So there's quite a bit going on. But right now, here's a presidential historian, a political analyst who used to have a show on KGO with the rest of us, and he is so generous to take time out to join us every Wednesday. He does his own podcast called Around the Political World with John Rothmann. It's a daily podcast. I suggest you subscribe. Here he is, John Rothmann. Hi, John.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Yes, you too, sir. I'm so glad that we get to talk to you on a day following a pretty big flip of a district in New York that was vacated by George Santos, as you know.
Hey, Mark, it's George Santos here.
Yeah. So what do you take from this, John Rothmann?
Only
yeah,
that
go
that
ahead.
district on that particular day decided to replace a Republican with a Democrat. The man who won is a former member of Congress. He'd served 3 terms. He's well known in the district. He won by an overwhelming majority. I don't think there's much to take away, except that for Speaker Johnson, it's a tremendous blow. And if you listen to him this morning, as I did on a press conference that he held, he was trying to spin it as if they'd had a victory, which I found absolutely stunning. So my answer is there isn't a lot to be made about it, except Republicans should understand that the trend is now against them.
Well, okay, but I shouldn't say but. There's a lot that is being pointed to, and I'm kind of glad that I don't know if you're being cautious deliberately or you're just being sensible, that you're not, rah, 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 oh my God, we can take so much from this. But
there's no gloating here at all.
No. Let me just speak to the politics of it, though, because I wanted to get your take. What is being pointed to is the way he ran his campaign and how it might be instructive for Democrats who are running in other campaigns. Specifically, instead of shying away from the border crisis, he kind of embraced the border crisis as and the question of immigration. He kind of made it his own.
That's because he was accused of being an open borders advocate. So he was responding to what the Republicans did. And of course, it doesn't work. Look what happened this last week. A deal was cut, and who killed the deal? It was a bipartisan deal. The Republicans, Speaker Johnson. And I have to tell you, I listened to Speaker Johnson today, as I say, trying to spin what happened as a victory for the Republicans. It's inane. But the immigration issue plays in New York because, remember, part of the district was in Queens. And you have to be aware, if you know the geography of New York, what's going on there with the number of immigrants that have been shipped to New York by governors of various states, but particularly the governor of Texas, Governor Abbott. And so there is a sense of real concern. What interested me as well, the abortion issue was not the top issue because the immediacy of what's happening now on immigration is so critical. And of course, the argument is now being made that because of new restrictions, that most of the immigrants are either going to California or Arizona. We haven't felt that impact yet. There hasn't been a major story yet, but we'll have to see how it plays.
Well, this to which you refer, the idea somehow that you point to the fact that there was legislation on the table and it was KO'd because of Donald Trump, that is something that President Biden is referencing as well. And it's thought that others who are going to be in similar Democratic races for their own seats in Congress and in the Senate may use that same strategy in addressing this issue.
Not think, they will, because Donald Trump is trying to exploit it. Look, the same thing happens on the Russia issue. Can you imagine that the former president of the United States gave a green light to Russia, essentially to attack our NATO allies, to attack Eastern Europe and Western Europe? And the response of the Republicans, aside from Nikki Haley, who finally fired back, has been deafening. And the other thing that is fascinating to me is Donald Trump's attacks on Nikki Haley's husband, who's been deployed by the South Carolina National Guard, is in the Horn of Africa, and Trump's making it an issue. But he did that with John McCain as well. It is the irresponsibility. And then the decision to remove Ronna Romney McDaniel. They have a new chairman coming in who's a former state chairman who's very pro-Trump. And you know who Trump is putting in as the co-chair of the Republican National Committee? Laura Trump, his daughter-in-law. It's the absurdity, but it proves, though, a very important point. When Donald Trump Jr. on the ellipse said it's no longer the Republican Party, it's the Donald Trump Party, he was absolutely correct.
Do you see this New York flip in any way as reflecting a repudiation of Trump, the way you've just sort of suggested?
No, both Trump and Biden were asked not to campaign. Neither the Republican nor the Democrat wanted the national figures in. I don't think that will be the case in the election in November. But for now, I think it was a very localized election. You had a man with a high name recognition, former 3-term congressman, versus a woman who has a local office, had no real recognition, and frankly, the issue of Trump and Biden didn't really come up. The issue of immigration came up, and the Republicans tried to hang around him that he had been soft on the immigration policy. And if you listen to the Republicans this morning, they're saying he ran as if he were a Republican, which is not true. But as I like to say, Mark, don't confuse people with the facts.
The polling that has Joe Biden underwater is interesting in that it really varies from poll to poll. And The Economist did a piece that jumped out at me related to just that if you look at polling on Biden and national polling on Trump, the polling that is not that reliable, I mean, they do, you look at verifiability and you look at the pedigree of these various polls, and you can figure out which ones, have sampling that's more accurate, have essentially they employ a kind of polling strategy that gives you a more accurate result from, you can distinguish those from others that do not. Anyway, the polls that have a better pedigree and more accurate, they show Trump and Biden in a dead heat. Those with a less dependable pedigree show Trump ahead by an average of 6 percentage points. Again, these are national polls. Now, I'll remind everybody that on some level, polling doesn't matter nationally because you only care about swing states in this ridiculous system that features the Electoral College. But I'm wondering if you can speak to Biden's general situation on voter happiness and displeasure with Biden, especially as we begin to get into the real political season.
Look, the answer comes from the special counsel, Mr. Hur, who included a line in his evaluation saying that Joe Biden had done nothing wrong and there was no indictment pending, so forth, but who pointed out that he is an older gentleman who has memory lapses. And that is what is concerning. That is what Speaker Johnson emphasized this morning in his press conference. That is what Donald Trump is emphasizing. That is why Democrats are concerned, and legitimately so. But I have to deal on a very pragmatic basis with this. Donald Trump is, unless something unforeseen happens, is going to be the Republican nominee, and Joe Biden is going to be the Democratic nominee. And we are going to confront two men, for all intents and purposes, 80 years old, less for Trump a few years, who are running against each other for president. Look, the simple truth is, whoever we elect, the vice presidential candidate on both tickets may well be the next president of the United States. Ask any insurance person dealing in life insurance about the actuary table. It's a fascinating moment, but I do not believe that if Joe Biden is able to run, that he will run. He will not withdraw as a candidate for president, and the Democrats are going to have a ticket of Biden and Harris.
Just to the point, because I wanted to follow up on a comment, the reason I didn't specify polls is it gets a little bit into the weeds, although what I'll do is I will link to the Economist story.
Good.
And you can see for yourself what I'm talking about. I'm giving you the essence of the Economist story when it comes to polling, where they literally aggregate these polls, and then you see in...
I've read it.
Yeah.
But I always remind you of President Landon and President Dewey and President Humphrey. The polls at this point, so far out, just have no impact. I can tell you on issues, more people are with Biden than are with Trump. And that is going to make a profound difference in terms of the election. But it also will matter who the vice presidential nominee is, and I'm convinced of that as well.
It also matters when the poll is taken. In total,
right.
13 polls have been conducted in 2024 by firms in this group. The group is from 538, and here the pollsters at their highest tier, meaning the most dependable, very good poll.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, have
Donald
run
Trump
polls
has
only
dates
sporadically.
Donald Trump has dates in court this week. that are going to be of tremendous implication. Mr. Smith,
his NATO remarks. I mean,
yes.
My advice to both of these camps would be keep your candidates quiet.
Okay, but you can't do that with Joe Biden. He's the president of the United States. And so far, his faux pas this last week was to confuse the president of Mexico and the president of Egypt. And a big deal was made about it, but nobody seemed to want to talk, on the Republican side anyway, about Donald Trump confusing Nikki Haley with Nancy Pelosi.
Nikki Haley and Erdogan, he's confused. I mean, he's.
And did you know Mitterrand is still alive and is president of France?
Right. I mean, this is, again.
But this is a problem the American people face.
Right. John, you're so good on politics and the politics of the Senate and the politics of the House. Can you just give us a sense of control of those bodies and what party is likely to regain or lose on the Senate and House sides?
First of all, in the Senate, the real loser this week is Mitch McConnell. Here he crafted, along with others, in a bipartisan way, a border compromise, and it never went anywhere. And I think it's very important to understand that who the Republican leader is in the Senate is critical. And we also know that Donald Trump doesn't like Mitch McConnell anymore. So Mitch McConnell's days as leader, it seems to me, are numbered. The odds are, if you believe the numbers, that the Republicans do have a shot at taking back the Senate. I don't think we can determine that for sure until we know who the candidates are state by state. You'll recall that prior to the last election, I said it all depended on candidates, and I was right. I mean, not that I'm right all the time, but it's a question of whether or not a candidate has credibility. I believe the Democrats are going to take the House. I think they're going to take it substantially. When I say, I think at least by 10, 15 votes. And Hakeem Jeffries will become the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Why? Johnson is not only one of the most ineffective speakers we've ever had, but he can't control his own ranks. So it's a serious look.
Well, on questions of competence, the GOP is not even in the game. I mean, they're clearly an incompetent, chaotic party. And you can take issue with a lot of Democratic policies, but they seem, relative to the GOP, they seem competent. I mean, at least
you're absolutely right, and that's how the American people are going to have to judge it.
Sadly, that's not always the way it is judged. But let me ask you about the Senate side. Are there seats vulnerable on the Senate side on the part of the Democrats?
No, there aren't. It's a very interesting question. There aren't enough Democrats where there would make a difference. That is to say, you have some, like Tester in Montana, who is being seriously challenged. But again, until we know who the challengers are, it's hard to assess each race. You made a very interesting observation, Mark, and a correct one. And that is that in the presidential race, it matters about the Electoral College. It matters who carries the swing states. All the money in the presidential campaign is going to be spent on those swing states. And unlike Hillary Clinton, who did not campaign in those swing states, some of them, and lost them, which cost her the presidency, even though I would remind people she won the popular vote. There is no doubt in my mind that who the nominees are will matter. Now, look, in Arizona, Kari Lake has just been endorsed by the Republican Senatorial Campaign Committee. Kari Lake being elected to the United States Senate seems highly improbable to me.
She came within 10 percentage points, I think, last time. Kristen Sinema,
that was for governor, where she's an identified person. We don't know whether Sinema is going to run as an independent candidate or not. We aren't 100% sure who the Democrat is going to be. But I'm suggesting to you right now, if I were a betting man, I would not put money, if I were a Republican, on Kari Lake.
The seat that everybody knows will go, the Democrats will lose this seat, is West Virginia, right?
That's where Joe Manchin
was a Democrat.
And I don't know whether he's going to run as a third-party candidate. That's highly disputed at this point. But he is bowing out. And in West Virginia, there is no real substantive Democratic leadership. So you're right on that. But look, we can go state by state and take a look. The variations here are considerable. And so we'll just have to wait and see who the nominees are. Ask me when I know who the nominees are from the states, and I can give you an appraisal. Same thing applies in the House. There are a number of House races which depend on who the candidates are. And so we really have to wait and see. But if I were a betting man, I would bet that the Democrats will take the House. I think that trend is clear. In the Senate, it's far more problematic. And it depends on the Senate leadership. Will Mitch McConnell continue to be the leader of the Senate? He controls a lot of money. And who is he going to put his money behind? I mean, there are all of these issues. And then you have the disputes that are taking place by his leadership over his own position. So my answer is ask me in July, and we'll have a better idea who the candidates are and where the money is going to go.
Sure. Now to the Middle East. It's asked by Edward Lee in a super chat. Will Egypt attack the IDF, which is the Israeli Defense Force, if they invade Rafah?
No, Egypt will not attack Israel. They need Israel. I'll tell you what the concern is. The Palestinians from Rafah have no place to go. Will they go into Egypt? And you have to understand, yesterday, General Sisi, President Sisi, has ordered that border beefed up. He doesn't want the Palestinians coming into Egypt. Why? Because he's afraid Hamas, which aligns itself with the Muslim Brotherhood, who are his arch enemies. So the Palestinians are left with nothing. But I can tell you one thing that I feel very strongly, and people may disagree with me, but I don't think I'm wrong. The issue is not what deal is struck or what compromise is struck. There has to be a recognition of Israel's permanence. If Iran, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, various factions of the Palestinian movement that control the West Bank, if they can agree once and for all that Israel has a right to exist, then the existential threat is gone. Do you know, Mark, I was thinking about it. There's no other nation in the world whose very right to exist is denied except for Israel. So from the Israeli point of view, and this is left, right, and center, they aren't happy with Netanyahu. I think Netanyahu's days as prime minister are numbered. But as long as the war goes on, and as long as the Palestinians don't give in some way recognition, I don't think Israel has much choice. And that is a serious problem because we have hung our policy on the concept of a two-state solution. Has anybody heard Hamas talking about a two-state solution? No. They talk about the destruction of Israel. Anybody hear Iran talking about a two-state solution? No. And look what is happening in the north. Hezbollah is firing rockets into the north. We had a casualty yesterday that was announced. And that's a serious problem because Hezbollah isn't interested in recognition of Israel. So I hate to say it, and believe me, it pains me to say it. The issue here is not the Palestinians. It is the recognition of Israel's right to exist. I personally believe that if there were universal acceptance of Israel's right to exist, territory wouldn't be an issue. The Israelis would be much more forthcoming.
I mean, there have been deals on the table prior to this that
Palestinians have never accepted them.
It's a very tough situation
what do you do with
there
Hamas?
that's
really
made now.
And truly, what do you do? What do you do with a terrorist organization that announces up front, we want to destroy you? Do you notice that in all of these negotiations, there is no one speaking directly on Egypt's relationship with Hamas? They may serve as a middleman, but they want nothing to do with Hamas. Remember that General Sisi, now President Sisi, succeeded his predecessor, who was a member of the Muslim Brotherhood, who was overthrown by the army. So it's a tangled web we weave.
Yeah. And of course, the United Nations agency that looked the other way while Hamas
No, they didn't look the other way. They didn't look down. It was underneath the UNRWA headquarters, which was the command and control center for Hamas.
And you believe that they certainly knew it was there?
Well, if you believe they didn't, I have a bridge made out of gold I would like to sell you.
They're actually,
cheap.
It's suggested that staffers with UNRWA actually were part of that October 7th.
It's not suggested, it's a fact. Why do you think there was a cutoff of funds by many in Western Europe to UNRWA? But do you understand what a travesty it is and what a tragedy it is that even a United Nations agency which was pledged to neutrality. And by the way, this is not the first time something like this has happened. It's happened in previous incarnations of conflict. So the Israelis, even the Israelis on the left, who are critical of Netanyahu, understand the immediate danger. And the problem is, why do they keep talking about a two-state solution? Everyone's trying to find a political path to follow. I'm telling you, and you can disagree with me, and listeners can argue with me, and I'm sure they will, nothing will satisfy Hamas or Iran or Islamic Jihad except for the destruction of Israel.
I mean,
and that is what they face.
Yeah.
I hate to say it.
And with that, sadly, we must wrap up.
Why? Don't you understand? No, wait. Let me just point something out before you wrap me up on Valentine's Day. Tying it with a red bow and a kiss.
You are so loved here. You should see the love in the chat. You should go back. It'll make you feel good.
This week, everybody should understand, isn't over, and Donald Trump is really on the hot seat. He's going to be in court dealing with the question of his own conduct in paying off a call girl, if you will. He is going to face the situation on Friday, where he's already adjudged as having cheated in New York in the real estate market. And so the issue is not his guilt or innocence, but what will the penalty be? Mark, it could be $300 million. He could be banned from ever conducting business in New York. His sons, Eric and Donald, are they going to be banned? And let me point out to you, that $300 million would be better spent supporting the Mark Thompson program, even a fraction of it. But I'm not saying it to be humorous, but I'm saying it to be factual. When we talk next Wednesday, what will the legal status be? And remember, Mr. Smith has been asked by the Supreme Court to submit an argument on why Donald Trump should not be allowed immunity, blanket immunity, for his years as president. The Supreme Court is on the spot. The American people will have to think, but you know who's really on the spot in all of this? The Republican Party. How much of the Trump weight can they carry? And let's assume for a minute that Donald Trump is found guilty of everything. I'm going to make that presumption. What does the Republican Party do then? Because the MAGA Republicans believe this is all a put-up job by the Biden administration. So we've got a fascinating time ahead, and it is, I think, one of the most incredibly interesting moments in the history of American politics. One more last thing, then I promise I'll leave you. Look at what our European allies are saying about Donald Trump and his approach to NATO. And do you know there is a law in the books that you can't withdraw from NATO without Senate consent? But you know what Donald Trump can do if he's president? He'll nickel and dime them. He'll figure out ways of getting around it. And that is another significant question. Well, I know we could go on all day, and you want me to leave you, so I will.
There was no formal appropriation for the wall money, and he just jacked it right out of the Pentagon. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't work in the same way. He basically bullies his way through government. I was just looking at all the different, because I'm thinking to myself, I think he's been banned from a lot of stuff. As you were saying that his business will be banned from doing business in New York, and essentially you're seeing a dismantling of Trump Inc. Because he was banned, as you recall, with the $25 million settlement in the Trump University deal. He was banned from, ever setting up any kind of academic institution ever again. He paid out $25 million. That's a bit of what he defrauded those poor souls who enrolled in Trump University. And then, of course, the maybe more galling, just because it involved a cancer charity in children.
Yes.
He defrauded that charity, and then his organization was banned from doing charity work or setting up any kind of charitable organization in the state of New York. So these are all things, by the way, some of which were detailed prior to him winning in 2016. I mean, I was screaming this stuff from the rooftops. This isn't some secret we've just uncovered.
Do facts matter? And let me ask you, if you served in the military, what do you think of the attack on Nikki Haley's husband, which is not a one-shot deal? This is similar to John McCain. Do you remember when Trump attacked McCain, we said, that's the end of Donald Trump. But it turns out that the party of John McCain no longer exists. The party of Bob Dole no longer exists. I would even suggest to you the party of Ronald Reagan no longer exists.
No,
what
that's
exists
certainly
now
true.
is the party of Donald Trump.
And is it the Gold Star families the Gold Star family members that he basically flipped the bird to? Remember that they spoke passionately and emotionally about having lost their son in battle, and Donald Trump and held up a Constitution. I don't know. I think his his smearing of these families while he hugs the flag, and yet if you talk to those who attend these various MAGA rallies, they are impressed by the way he hugs the flag. One of them actually said that. I mean, if this
the one I loved, Mark, is the woman who I heard interview who said, "God sent us Donald Trump, and we believe in God and Trump." Can you imagine?
Well,
now, I know that
I
God
just understand
sent
how
you
God
to
sent
this,
Trump, but didn't God send Biden and God sent Rothman and God sent Thompson? I mean, it's not like God just had one special delivery and then he was on to the next galaxy. I mean,
don't tell Donald Trump that.
You buy in for everything or you buy in for nothing. You can find him on Around the Political World with John Rothman, his podcast. He joins us. I Love John is the sticker that is up there right now. So
thank
wow,
you.
John.
And happy Valentine's Day. And may all of our loves come true.
Oh, that's sweet. John Rothman, everybody. Thanks,
Kim
John.
McAllister, did you hear that?
Kim McAllister. I think he's got a thing for you, Kim. Very
The Mark
nice.
Thompson Show.
He's got a real thing for Kim. Yeah.
I
don't
needed that
blame him.
endorsement, Mark, from John.
Yes.
Yeah, I needed that.
Yeah. Kim, you ready with some news?
Kim, how are you?
I'm ready with some news.
I've got a law and disorder, and I have a major announcement for the holiday weekend that you'll want to know. So we'll get that all organized. Kim's news next. Please, if you would, smash the like button. It helps us.
With your iron rod.
We try to bring it. Why don't I keep John on longer? We try to give you a range of things on this show. I get it. I can do 2 hours banging on Donald Trump. I can do 2 hours talking about Israel. I got 2 hours talking about any number of things. We try to give you a menu, of different things and a different rhythm. So that's the reason we don't keep John on longer. We love John, of course. So,
I even put up a sign that said, "I love John." So
I know you. That's right. You put your signage up where your heart is, and here it is from Quesadilla 79. There is no God. It's a human delusion. Thank you, everybody. And happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
What?
I
on this Saint Valentine's Day, that's a beautiful message.
Yeah, there you are. Smash the like button.
Smash it with your iron
For
rod.
all the believers and non-believers, we love you all. Mark Thompson
What he's got
Show.
going here
Well,
is
it's
a
a situation without or with. It's a
And
situation.
I think it's Ash Wednesday today too for the believers.
Wow.
Today.
Ash Wednesday. Come on. Ash Wednesday. Party.
2 for 1 today.
Party of 4.
Yes, party of 4 for Ash Wednesday, please. All right. Good stuff. The High Priest Albert weighs in with the facts. Love it.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister, and this report is sponsored by CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. Let's talk about Trump, because he's in the news again, and that is that the judge overseeing the New York State civil fraud trial of the Trump Organization, Donald Trump, and his 2 adult sons will issue his verdict on damages this week. The verdict thought to be coming on Friday. NBC News is reporting today that the decision will come from Judge Arthur Engoron on Friday. Engoron had already ruled that the company and the Trumps did engage in fraud. The coming verdict will be about intent and will be about damages. There's word they might dissolve the Trump Organization in New York. So we'll see what exactly happens because of this fraud.
That's what John Rothmann was talking about. The fact that, a $300 million judgment could very easily be handed down.
Rideshare drivers are striking right now. So between the hours of 11 a.m. and 1 p.m., The rideshare drivers will not pick you up from the airport this Valentine's Day at 10 major cities near airports. Uber, Lyft, and DoorDash drivers want more money. They want better working conditions, and they are picketing airports in Newark, Austin, Chicago, Hartford, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Rhode Island, 3 airports in Florida, Miami, Tampa, Orlando. It goes on and on. So that is happening at least for the next, 50 minutes. Ukraine has reportedly destroyed another Russian military ship. This is in the Black Sea. A Ukrainian defense official claims the operation was carried out today by Ukraine's military intelligence agency. Ukraine has claimed several attacks on Russian warships in the Black Sea, including the sinking of a guided missile ship earlier this month. The Russian military has yet to comment. New York Democrat Tom Suozzi will take over the congressional seat once held by Republican George Santos after defeating his GOP opponent in Tuesday's special election. Suozzi won back the seat that he vacated in 2022 in an unsuccessful run for governor, which was filled by Santos until his expulsion on December 1st. Before Tuesday, Republicans had won every major election on Long Island since 2021.
Hey,
Now,
Mark,
Suozzi...
it's George Santos here.
Okay.
What?
Yeah.
What's a little lie between friends?
No, it's a little lie. Come on. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And lastly, I will tell you, it is shaping up to be a record day for Valentine's Day.
What?
Yes, it is. Spending this Valentine's Day, according to the National Retail Federation, consumers plan to spend a total of $25.8 billion on this Valentine's Day. Hallmark is like counting their money over there. It is the third highest in the survey's history. So people are buying the stuff and the flowers and the candy and the things and the... That's
what
right.
kind of stuff are people mostly buying in your judgment and your general kind of perspective on
They're
things?
buying Coachella Valley coffee. Is what I think.
Okay, well, that's
Yeah,
cool.
Coachella
Because I feel
Valley-
like you and Nikki, if I can do on the Nikki show, I watched a bit
Yeah.
of it today. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Do you want to just literally keep that Coachella Valley coffee thing up while I'm talking to you?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. You guys kind of cover that. I feel like you have a better hand on the pulse of that stuff. You know, you talk about, are people buying those Stanley mugs? Are they?
They're buying them. Yes.
They are. I wonder if our merch store has seen an uptick as a result of Valentine's Day. Probably not. I haven't
We
heard
didn't
anything
really
about it.
push it for Valentine. We should have been
we
all
haven't
month
pushed
long.
anything.
We should have been like,
and we're,
Mark Thompson show tote bag for Valentine. We should have the Mark
Patricia-
Thompson show throw pillow. Go to bed with Mark Thompson.
The one
we should have.
thing that
we missed an
Nikki does
opportunity
that I
here.
like,
Yeah.
that she does a lot of stuff that I like, but the one thing that I really like that she does so well and much better than we do here, we don't do much of it here at all, is she creates these things like, it's a special bag with this, it's a raffle with that, it's a thing,
Yeah.
That's smart, and it's a way to raise, support. So we need to do that. And I just think some kind of we need to step our game up on that. And I blame you, Albert.
do.
I really do. Who else am I supposed to blame?
I was going to
Tony's not
ask.
here.
Albert,
I
thank
feel
you.
Like we're missing blame for that topic. Yeah,
You feel like you feel like what?
we're missing some blame there, but
Yeah.
I think you cite it. Yeah.
Anyway, stay tuned. We've got to really step up our game from here to the end of the end of the year.
Well, what
Gotta
we do
come out.
have on
Maybe we'll just have Nikki do it. I wonder if Nikki would come over and create some stuff for our show.
I'm sure she would do it.
You think she would?
Oh, she's awesome. She totally would.
You know what? Stay tuned. We'll see.
Kim, how are you?
All right. As
We do
promised by
have on
Kim.
this show, we do have
This
sponsors.
is great.
CoachellaValleyCoffee.com, a
Yeah,
sponsor
we
of the
love
Mark Thompson Show. We are proud that they are, because we all love the coffee, love the tea, love the products that are coming from CoachellaValleyCoffee.com.
Elgato espresso.
It's
Love that.
so good.
Elgato espresso.
On this Valentine's Day, if no
Yes.
one got you anything, which happens sometimes, right?
Oh yeah, a
Why don't
lot.
you get yourself something? Get
Yeah.
yourself a little. Get yourself
That's
some
right.
tea. Get yourself a little coffee. Do a little splurgy splurge on yourself. Because
Yeah.
Girl, you're worth it.
You know it.
Check it out at CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. We'll give you the 10% off too. So see, it's good. You check in, you write in Mark T at the code checkout altogether. Mark T, you get your 10% off. Mark has really been loving. Oh, they have steak rub. Look at that. Ooh. Who knew? Wow. Mark has been loving the crystalline sugar date tea. You'll see it on the website. I like the ginger mint.
And Albert's showing you the Why Are You Yelling decaf
Why are you yelling?
Peruvian
So
bean. It's rico, especial, and it's decaffeinated. Oof. And it's Why Are You Yelling?
Just do the whole commercial like that. That's
Why are you
good.
yelling?
Yes.
CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. Mark T at checkout for your 10% off. I'm Kim McAllister, and this be The Mark Thompson Show.
Mm-hmm.
You found The Mark Thompson Show. You lucky mother. The Mark Thompson Show.
Who's Mark Thompson?
My wife wants some vegetables for crudité.
Emil Schaffhausen. Salad.
Jada had nothing to do with it. I completely disagree. Person, woman, man, camera, TV.
And this is their new hoax.
Why are you yelling?
You do not know what you are talking about.
It was great. I loved it. Listen to me. I don't want to hear you.
Saudi Arabia pays cash.
It was wrong, it was stupid, and I'm trying to be a better person.
Hey, Mark, it's George Santos here. A lot of people are telling me you're a liar. Seriously, what the
What up, everybody? I was just looking through our mailbag. And thank you, Walter, in the tip jar. Aloha from Hawaii. Big shout out to Walter, who is a regular listener and supporter. Thank you for the 5 spot,
Big
my
shout
friend,
out.
and happy Valentine's Day to you. And Tom sent in something on the Taylor Swift Travis Kelce connection. Tom wrote, the email address is themarkthompsonshow@gmail.com. Say what you want. I like what is playing out with Taylor Swift, getting millions of new folks listening to her, and all it cost was a few football games. A genius move. He's questioning, it would seem, the implication is he's questioning the true love at the base of the Taylor Swift-Kelce relationship.
I sent you a video last night where they're pretty lovey-dovey.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty convincing, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Bradley says, on the strength of your recommendation, I check. Oh, sorry. That was my response. He loved Bradley. Says he loved the Usher halftime show at Super Bowl. Did you see that?
I did see it.
Oh my gosh, it was great. It was the best part of the day.
I was like, meh.
Albert, are you being facetious, or did you really like it?
Oh, no, I'm a big Usher fan. Yeah, the night before, we were debating Usher albums with. I was at a party and we were just talking, going back and forth. And I think there's a lot of people who were. Well, it was a popular party bet to bet which song he would open with, and it was fun to see all the people on Instagram post their winnings. He started with "Caught Up," by the way. For those.
Oh, that's cool. And it's funny. Bradley loved it. He said that he killed it. He paid homage to Las Vegas entertainment. He did roller skate tricks. He went shirtless.
Roller skating was cool. The marching
that
band
was like
was
an ode
cool.
to Atlanta. Usher's from Atlanta, so he had that. I think he had like a traditional marching band from Atlanta too there. Yeah. So
plus appearances by Alicia Keys and Ludacris.
Best
I
part
give it
of
a
was
10,
Alicia
says
Keys.
Bradley.
Oh, okay. 10.
Also, Filipino and Bay Area native Her played guitar.
Ah, that's right.
So.
He also wanted to know what we thought of the RFK Jr. ad that ran. I did see that. It was a rerun of JFK's 1960 TV ad, and they paid $7 million for that placement. Amazing. And I guess now Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Kim, you can tell me, he's apologizing for it, right? Sort of trying to distance himself from it.
He apologized to the family who said they were offended that he would use the likeness of his deceased relatives. But then, with one hand, he apologizes. With the other hand, he clicks pin to the top of his X profile. And so the ad that he's apologized for remains at the top of his X profile the day later. So
there's a lot of that in
is
politics,
yeah.
Right? And he said, I'm curious what Rothmann thinks about it. Damn it, I didn't ask him. Sorry, I'll ask him next week. And since it's staying pinned to his X file, his X profile, it will be easy to bring back up if you remind me.
Do you think John saw that live, Mark?
No.
Like during the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Ooh, another contribution. This one from Edward.
No, we did.
Yeah, we did that during.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
I mean,
my bad. I'm sorry.
And then finally, Big Valentine's. Thank you for interrupting Bradley's email for something that we'd already done. Finally, Big Valentine's love to you and your crew for all the work you guys put into your show. My husband and I are regular viewers and listeners, and you feel like a part of our family. It takes a lot to do what you do every day, and we sincerely appreciate you for all the laughs and information. Keep us tuning in. Mark, Kim, Albert, Tony, Courtney, we love you. Wow.
Oh, that's nice.
And a reminder to anyone listening, the best way to show Mark your love is via PayPal or Patreon. Let's make it rain for Mark and his crew this Valentine's Day. Your favorite listener, Bradley, everybody.
We got to have Bradley writing our copies.
Yeah,
I know.
Exactly. That was
I've received a lot of positive letters.
not like that. I have, and that was a good letter. Yeah.
There wasn't
cool.
even a butt in there.
Well, he actually. It's very funny you say that because when he starts, he makes fun of that because we always say on the show. Usually, the kind of email you get is, "I love your show. I watch every day, but couldn't you have John Rothmann on more? Or couldn't you talk more about fill in the blank or talk less about this?" So he says, "Hi, Mark, I love your show, but," and then he just puts an emoji of a wink. So anyway, really cool stuff on the Super Bowl. I've got to go back and look at the Usher show, the whole thing. I've only seen the little pieces of it, but and smash it with your iron rod.
Yeah, with your iron rod.
Albert, are you ready? Let's do some law and disorder.
In the criminal justice system, the people,
pimps, addicts, thieves, bums, winos, girls who can't keep an address, and men who don't care,
are represented by two separate yet equally important groups.
A cop, a flatfoot, a bull, a dick, John Law. You're the fuzz, the heat, you're poison, you're trouble, you're bad news.
These are their stories.
In the United States of guns, the latest place that a gun showed up was at that Pastor Joel Osteen's megachurch in Texas. The attack featured an AR-style rifle, and the suspect's home in suburban Houston is where that AR-style rifle was. The house is in Conroe, Texas. If you know the area, it's more than 50 miles north of the Lakewood Church. That's where Sunday's shooting in between services went down. The shooter identified, there it is, the megachurch, Joel Osteen, you know, television and broadcast. The shooter was identified as 36-year-old Genesee Moreno, shot and killed by two off-duty officers working security at the church. Two other people were shot and wounded, including the shooter's young son, who entered the church with Moreno.
Still in critical condition, by the way.
Yeah.
That little one, 5 years old.
The shots hit just before 2 p.m. on Sunday, around the time that a lot of people were getting ready to watch the Super Bowl later. The Houston police chief, Troy Finner is his name, said Moreno entered the church wearing a trench coat and backpack and armed with a long rifle. Then began shooting and was confronted by two off-duty officers. A Houston police officer and an agent with the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission, they returned fire and killed her.
I wonder, do they just have those security people, off-duty officers, always on hand at that church?
Yeah, I think they
just
do.
like
They're
hang out
security
there.
people.
I guess
They're
if you
security
have the
people
mega
there, yeah.
church, then you can afford security.
You ought to have a mega metal detector.
Yeah.
You got to have a lot. That's an arena. That's
Yeah, it
you
is.
can host a college basketball game in there.
Right. I mean, look at he's on a huge jumbotron. That's the way he addresses the congregation. Before being shot and killed, the suspect told officers that they'd had a bomb and were carrying a yellow in color. What is it? I'm sorry, this is worded so weird. First of all, I don't know. I don't want to break down why it's worded weird. Anyway, the Moreno said that she had a bomb. Isn't that what happened originally? The victims, as Kim mentioned, Moreno's son. But anyway, what was interesting to me about this, in addition to some of these other features of the megachurch that we've just learned about, interestingly, Moreno legally purchased the AR-15 style rifle that was used in the shooting. Also was carrying a .22 caliber rifle. From what I understand, Kim, and you can tell me because you might have the latest, but she legally purchased this weapon despite the fact that she had a history of mental illness.
Maybe
this
it's
is someone
easier to get a gun in Texas.
She had a criminal past, multiple aliases, and she had problems psychologically that had been documented. Despite that, she was able in December to get this assault-style weapon.
So we have problems in this country. We say we're going to do something. We say, oh, it's the mental health crisis. Well, then let's do something about the mental health crisis and make rules that make it so that if you're having a mental health crisis, you don't get to have a gun. And the red flag laws that people can say, hey, if you're having a mental health crisis, even for just a short time, the police can come take your guns away so you don't do something like this.
As Deirdre says, everyone has a gun in Texas. It's
And we
true.
don't-
It's
we
like
don't do
it's like a
anything.
side order of fries down there. It's just it comes.
So I read
with-
this morning that she was going through, I guess at this church they have lawyers or legal mediation there, and she was going through a custody issue with her ex-husband or former husband or what have you over this child that ended up with a bullet to the head. So it's the saddest situation.
Meantime, a break in a caper involving a Walgreens. This is crazy. The manager of a Chinatown Walgreens in Washington, D.C., that has been a frequent target for robbery since last summer, that manager helped orchestrate these robberies.
Oh, it's an
at
inside
least
job.
4 armed holdups at his own store.
Ooh, it's a wild idea, but it just might work.
Prosecutors are charging the manager, Michael Leroy Robinson, and his nephew in connection with robberies that authorities say came to a violent end on Sunday when a security guard hired by Walgreens shot and critically wounded one of the suspects in this conspiracy. They detail 4 robberies that authorities attribute to this group. They say that Robinson was the manager on duty for at least 4 more, including one in which a suspect hit him in the head with a gun. The man who was shot on Sunday, Kamanye Williams, 24, is still hospitalized today. Hasn't made an appearance in court yet. But the manager charged with conspiracy and with these robberies. And the problem with this, and the greater story than just the robberies, is what it's done to this neighborhood. You know, this is a town I grew up in, Washington, D.C., and now, I mean, it's been a long time since I've lived there, but like so many other communities around the country, including in the Bay Area in California, Los Angeles, once a community becomes racked by retail theft and by robberies like this, these are armed robberies, I'll remind you. businesses around that area begin to close. People start to fear that area. They don't go there to do their shopping, and that's what was happening here.
Like Oakland, too, right?
Thank you. And finally, a report revealing that Mark Meadows likely will not face charges because he's given immunity.
What?
A former state and federal prosecutor thinks that a special counsel report is indicating that Mark Meadows probably won't face trial for his involvement in the Donald Trump 2020 election trial.
No.
It seems to be given he seems to be given an immunity deal, according to this report. This is a guy who's a former state and federal prosecutor, a guy named Eric Lazan. Lazan saying that his reading of a recent New York Times report, which details a lot, indicates that there really is a deal here. Quote, reading the description here of Meadows' involvement with the special counsel, leading to the conclusion that absent a prior unreported secret agreement to plead guilty to charges, he will not face federal charges due to his extensive testimony pursuant to an immunity order.
These are people that orchestrated all of this, that
That's right.
set it all up. These are the masterminds of all this. Trump's like, what can I do? And they're like, well, you could do A, B, C, and D. And then they set it all allegedly in motion. And these are the people that are going to get off scot-free? Sister, please.
The possibility that the former president's closest White House aide, a man with unsurpassed access to Trump during the final months of his presidency, might be seeking to wriggle out of further trouble by supplying damning information to prosecutors and perhaps even testifying against Trump at trial, suggests a seemingly inescapable choice for Meadows, prison time or career suicide. That's what was written in the New York Times.
And that's what Lori says. If Meadows is given immunity, doesn't that mean he flipped on Trump?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so he has that fork in the road. Neither route is a real good one for Meadows, but it appears that he flipped and he committed the career suicide as opposed to doing prison time for the former president. And that is Law and Disorder for today.
Tune in again next time for more Law and Disorder on The Mark Thompson Show.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. Hey, let's be careful out there.
Smash the like button like a boss. Thank you for being here. It is Valentine's Day. We are filled with love in our hearts. This is the place people come for love. You know that to be true.
What?
Well, I mean, you know, love adjacent.
Who is having that conversation?
I'm just saying. Got a very exciting announcement. Well, it's an important announcement. I don't know how exciting it is, but it's important. We'll make that special announcement and we'll welcome our guest who really is all about love. We'll do that next. Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Who's Mark Thompson?
Feels great, baby.
Let me kick down the door and talk to my cheap sons and daughters.
No context will suffice to explain the hurt and anguish caused by my words. I apologize to all who have been hurt.
I stand corrected. I misspoke. My words upset so many people.
And I wanted to apologize to the Asian community, the Asian American community.
God bless America. The end.
There's never been anything like this. Do I hit it long? Is Trump strong? Huh?
Who is having that conversation?
It's fantastic.
That's not fake. That's real.
The science is ridiculous.
How would you handle this? We could try ignoring it, sir. If you get it in order, you get extra points.
Listen to me. I don't want to hear you.
You cannot say you love your country.
Where are my weed smokers at?
This is a word from the Lord, and he's not happy.
There is no defense for my conduct. It was wrong, it was stupid, and I'm trying to be a better person.
Don't ever use that word.
You get nothing.
What's a guilty pleasure you have?
Seriously, what the
Right on, everybody. It is Valentine's Day, and I do have a quick, if you will indulge me, major announcement.
Major announcement from the Mark Thompson Show.
It is a major announcement. We had a huddle, and we agreed that on President's Day, which is coming up on Monday, it is an official holiday and 3-day weekend. We will do a best of show. So we will do, I know. In fact, Kim had all the segments like suggestions. Albert, have you suggested any best ofs yet, segments?
No, but I always like a best of Florida. Just one whole day.
Oh, that's a good thought. Yes.
Yeah. That's my favorite.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. So if you can pick out a couple of Florida stories, maybe, Albert, if you wouldn't mind, or any that you remember, that would be great.
Yeah,
Albert,
thank you.
I will also ask the audience if you have any that you particularly like, that you recall. Maybe it's a conversation, an interview, whatever. Please, you can email us, themarkthompsonshow@gmail.com. And that'll help propel us to putting together a good couple of hours for you, should you want it, on President's Day. And then, we'll stitch it all together. Tony will make it all work. The Mark Thompson
And I love
Show.
that I love the suggestions, because you're basically doing my job. So,
Albert, thank you.
The Mark Thompson Show @gmail.com, everyone.
Yes. So if there's a segment or an interview or whatever it was that you particularly liked, we will get it done and hopefully get it in. And it also just helps remind us of the things that you particularly spark to. So, anyway, that's the major announcement. I just feel it's important you know it for Monday, and we do we do a live show every day.
This has been a major announcement of the Mark
Yes,
Thompson
that has
Show.
been.
Major
Yeah. Yes, that's right. This has been. All right.
Speaking of a major announcement, it looks like there's some type of breaking news out of the Chiefs camp, where they are having some type of parade today for the Chiefs, and there's word that possibly shots have been fired there at the parade.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So all shots have been fired in Kansas City after a pep rally celebrating the Chiefs' Super Bowl win. So police are on the case there after shots are fired. As Mark likes to say, the United States of guns rears its ugly head again. But again, this is in Kansas City after a Chiefs pep rally. So we'll be following that story, and we'll bring you anything that comes up as we get the news in.
All right. Thank you for that. Yeah. So, all right, we continue.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Someone who I have mad respect for all the things she's done with her life, and her most recent project has really taken on a special kind of altitude. Her book, Take a Shot at Happiness, now has an app, and her book is in large measure centered around love. And this being Valentine's Day, we thought it would be fun to have Maria Baltazzi back. Hi, Maria.
Hi, how are you? Nice to be back.
Nice to see you. Yeah, you always look happy. I don't know how you do it. This Take a Shot at Happiness, again, you have an app now that goes with it. So this is kind of inspirational stuff that propels all of us on a daily basis. I guess that's what the app is about?
Yes, and the app is the activities that I have in my book. So at the end of every chapter, each chapter is what I call a happiness essential. It's one of the core values of happy people. And at the end of the chapter on love or gratitude or forgiveness, then there are creative exercises where I have people use their cell phone. It's guided prompts to use their cell phone to take photos of what they've just been reading about and then journal about it. So the app has all of those prompts. So you can always be working on your happiness.
Yes. Never a bad thing. And the book is really great that way. It's sort of like a ongoing kind of workshop toward that. But now let's get to Valentine's Day and love. You wrote an article about self-love in the magazine Best Holistic Life. Right. I wonder if you can tell me what self-love is.
It's really caring about yourself. It's having respect for yourself. It's valuing yourself and thinking and feeling and caring for your happiness and your well-being. And it's like when you are on an airplane and the steward says, in the event of an emergency, an oxygen mask will fall down in front of you, put that mask on your face first, and then help others around you. And that's what self-love and self-care and self-compassion, all those selves in the most positive way, that's what it's about. It's about putting that oxygen mask on your face first, so you are showing up as your best self to be of service to others around you.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, the last part is particularly interesting. Do you cover blaming others for your setback? That's a big part of my life, everyone. I like to blame other people for anything bad that's going on in my life. You don't cover that in your The Oxygen Mask Goes on You First in your article of self-love?
Well, actually, I do.
Oh, you do? You
yeah,
do?
I actually do. And it really is, it's a separate bullet point, if you will, in my chapter on love in my book. And it's taking responsibility for all your relationships, good or bad. You are in some way responsible, for how you are responding. And so that's a huge one, just taking that ownership of yourself and your relationships and how you are showing up.
The Valentine's Day pressure is real. And I mean, again, it's a concocted thing. I see the virtues in Valentine's Day or having a day or a time that we all kind of agree on. I thought that was a great thing that Deirdre she bought herself flowers today. But I see the virtue in it, but I also see how much pressure it creates. You know what I mean? It's yet another day that you feel intense pressure to sort of step up, show up, compare your whatever celebration or whatever you're doing to other people's. You do address that. You address the Valentine's Day struggle that many have.
Yes, for all of the things you just said, and especially if you're single, you really feel it. That, oh gosh, I don't have somebody to share Valentine's Day with. And that's not true. You have yourself. And a lot of what I am teaching is that you need to become your best friend, your best companion, your best playmate, that you complete yourself. So that when you are showing up in relationship with somebody else, it's not because you're looking to them to fill a void, but you're looking to have a complement to your life, not to make it be something more. That you're looking for someone else to fulfill you because you already do that for yourself. So cultivating that ability to be on your own is huge. And Valentine's Day is a great day to do it if you are on your own. Send yourself, like somebody in the office already did. Buy yourself some flowers and chocolates. Make yourself a candlelit dinner. Do something kind for yourself. Take yourself to a romantic movie somewhere. treat yourself as you would a date.
Yeah, I would also say, I mean, I, of course, come at it from a different perspective. Yours is far healthier and will get you to a better place. But I always feel like I always tell people this around Christmas and the holidays, because that's when, depression and emptiness and loneliness can all sort of weigh on you if you're single. I think it's the greatest thing in the world to be single around the holidays. You have no obligations at all. You don't have to leave if you don't want to. You want to go to a party, you can. If there are no parties you're invited to, even better. Park yourself there, watch whatever you want, read whatever you want. The freedom that comes with being by yourself is a special kind of freedom. And I applaud people who can embrace that and not get caught up in this, oh my God, I've got to find my soulmate, I've got to find my other half. It's great if you have that, but I'd suggest that there's a certain freedom and magic in being on your own. And I mean, sadly, people oftentimes end up on their own because of, some sort of loss or, a death, et cetera. It can be a sad thing, but it doesn't always have to be a sad circumstance.
And I agree with you, and you are speaking to everything that really I just said, in that you become your best company. You're not looking for the invitations because you're happy to be on your own doing whatever it is you want to do. I do a lot on my own. I go to meals on my own. I travel a lot on my own, and you learn to be very self-contained. And that is a good thing. It's actually a powerful thing to know that you can love yourself, you can entertain yourself, you can be with yourself and feel, happy and content and not sad and depressed.
I'm looking at all the different comments that come in, and Lori's got an interesting one. She says, your inner voice should talk to you with the same compassion you talk to your friends, i.e. you don't call your friends ugly or fat or stupid or weak, so don't say those things to yourself. You talk about that in your book, as I recall. Sort of what you say to yourself and how you view yourself is something that's really important.
Yes, and I agree with what Lori is saying. I mean, sometimes we can be so brutal to ourselves. We tell ourselves such harsh and awful things that you would never say to someone else. So why would you say that to yourself? I mean, it's so unkind.
Then we have, welcome to our world. We have, of course, those who are pot stirrers. These are our regular pot stirrers on this show. Andrew's one of them. If that's the case, Mark, everyone should just stay single. Yeah, well, you know what, Andrew? There's a virtue in just staying single, by the way. And my point is, you can find special feelings in both places, being single or being connected. That's my point. Chris, sucks to be by yourself. We are social creatures. I get that we're social creatures, but I also think, I'll let you take that, Maria. I'm sorry, I don't mean to, respond.
No.
These guys are always out. They're always on my case, so I always feel like I have to bite back. But go ahead.
Well, even if you are in relationship with someone, it's still important to have your own space, your own alone time. I mean, that's part of keeping your identity. Even going back to the idea that you're not looking for somebody to complete you or to fill a void. You do that for yourself. So it's important to that you still preserve time, to be, on your own. And so it's not that you're saying everybody should be single. It's saying you should be comfortable in your own skin, in who you are, whether you're in a relationship or not.
Well, look, and sadly, we repeat a lot of things that we heard from childhood or that we've incorporated from media or whatever it might be. That's kind of why I liked your book, and I'm looking forward to checking out the app, Take a Shot at Happiness, the app, because you suggest you can recalibrate. Doesn't matter what you were told or what you incorporated before into your psyche, you can recalibrate. And I just think I love the notion that we can reconstitute ourselves. It's never too late. So I commend you on that message. And here is my darling Kim with more. Kim?
I thought Karen just wrote something really good. She said, too many people, especially women, define themselves by having a relationship, and that's not good. And, I just was thinking about, as you were talking about how work for me, there used to be a moment sometimes when I drive away from the house and I felt like I was myself again. Like I'm nobody's wife, I'm nobody's mom, I'm just me again. I get to go to work and just be me and have no responsibilities for the day except the responsibilities of the job. And that's kind of what the show here, Working with Mark, is like for me too, where I get to be myself and not have the responsibilities of the house. So for me, working is self-love, and having this time where I'm just able to check out from other, responsibilities in the world. I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah.
Well, you've identified what your needs are, and it's going to vary from person to person. The point is that you take that time to understand the things that fill you, and the only way you really get to do that is if you spend a certain amount of time on your own where you're not having a conversation, you're not taking care of somebody.
Yeah.
So, that's what works for you. And that's fine.
Yeah.
Maria Baltazzi, PhD, MFA.
Mm-hmm.
Take a Shot at Happiness is her book. How to Write, Direct, and Produce the Life You Want. Voted Best Personal Development Book of the Year. I mean, come on. Damn it. If anybody comes here fully qualified to talk about Valentine's Day and self-improvement, it's Maria Baltazzi. All right. Maria, thank you for being here. I wish you a happy Valentine's Day, and we look forward to you visiting again. Please, we wouldn't you say, Kim, we can benefit from an occasional visit from Maria to help us.
Trust me, we can benefit from Maria a lot. I mean, doesn't everyone feel better? We leave this conversation feeling like, all right, this is good stuff.
Maria has a kind face, says Julie. Isn't that nice?
Aww.
That's really sweet. Well, all right. So we will see you again. Thank you, Maria Baltazzi.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Happy Valentine's Day. Thank you.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Wow. Take a shot at happiness.
Mm-hmm.
The app.
And who doesn't deserve it?
Yeah.
That's what holds us back, is we think we don't deserve it, or we put a bunch of excuses in front of ourselves, and then we don't go after what we want and become who we want.
But the segment wouldn't have been the same without people like Andrew Peters and Chris and, that's what they're there for, to pee on whatever I'm doing. I mean, I would not be comfortable were it all just positive. Don't set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. Wow, that's a great quote. What is that from, Heather Kennedy? My boyfriend and I have been together for over 7 years, but still don't live together. Well, no wonder you're happy. Having space and alone time is restorative. Restorative is a ding word, and you, Heather Kennedy, have exactly the right idea. It's... my darling Allie Willis, who passed away, but she's right there behind me, right there. Mm-hmm. She wrote, as you know, she wrote September for Earth, Wind and Fire and Boogie Wonderland and Lead Me On, Maxine Nightingale and Neutron Dance and all these great songs that we know for the Pointer Sisters. Allie told me that she had a 20-year relationship, before she passed away. She said the key is we live in separate houses. I'll never forget it. But sometimes it just isn't. I mean, that's not to say you can't make it work. Many do, living in the same house. But I'm just saying, and we're making it work in our house, in my relationship. But I'm just saying that I applaud you, Heather, for pulling that together and keeping it going. Anyway.
As Maria
Albert
just told me a moment ago, figure out what you need, right? What you need to make you happy and to still be yourself.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Well, and happy Valentine's Day, everybody. And
Put up your pants, my man.
Yeah.
Pull up those pants.
Pull up those pants if somebody's coming over to your house. Yeah, it's a bad look on Valentine's Day. Laugh at yourself and with your partner, says Julie. And what was the Mindy thing? It was good, actually. 2 bathrooms. We would be happy with 2 bathrooms, says Mindy. Albert, we're winding down. So, again, I'm pushing Stories from the Sky, which is really good. I mean, Stories from the Sky is filled with so much good stuff. I almost want to see if I can squeeze in a couple of stories before I go off the air.
It's very good. I'd rather keep it as a one whole segment because
okay, cool. We'll do it tomorrow, and I promise you, everyone, you will love Stories from the Sky.
There's creepy stuff. There's a fight.
Yes.
There's weird delays.
It almost feels Florida-like.
Yeah.
It feels very Florida.
So, all right, so we'll do that tomorrow. Nobody is happy 100%, says Cassandra. I have moments of happiness, but a lifetime of contentment. I have friends. That's a very mature thing to say and lovely thing to say. Cassandra.
Yeah.
Very good. That's, by the way, a great name. Put that up there again. Cassandra, what was her last name? It's almost musical.
Cassandra Capronica.
I mean, come on.
Mm-hmm.
If that's your real name,
yeah,
I applaud you and I ding you. And in fact, if it's not your real name, I'll give you 2 dings for coming up with that name and applaud you. Wow. Very impressive this Valentine's Day. I've lived with a few boyfriends, says Sandy, over the years. I have no interest in living with my current boyfriend. I'll ding that. I value my own space too much. Plus, I'm very introverted, so I need lots of alone time. That's sweet. It's nice that you know that, you know. And now Tom with the correction on, I think that's what Kaprenica. Isn't that what Kim said?
He's saying I put the accent on the wrong spot. Kaprenica. Kaprenica. Oh, whatever.
I see. Kaprenica.
Thank you for the correction, Tom. Thank you for mansplaining, Tom. Everybody needs that on Valentine's Day.
Oh, because it's a man. It can't be something right. Excuse me. I love that we're ending this show on a little bit of acrimony. I love that, everybody.
I needed that pronouncer, Tom.
Oh, my God.
I'm kidding. Happy Valentine's to you.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Big love.
They pay me a lot of money for having attitude.
Yeah.
Listen to me. I don't want to hear you.
Yeah, say that. Happy Valentine's Day. Louise, much love for the MT crew this Valentine's Day. Big shout out. Thank you. Thank you, Louise. Thank you for all the thumbs up. Smash the like button like a boss.
With your iron rod.
Yeah, let's do it on this Valentine's Day. I think we had a pretty good show, Albert.
It was great.
I'm not saying it was the best show. I think it was, but I think we hit the ball.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, I loved it. So
it felt right.
Yeah, the after party live where you go for all the love.
Shadow Stevens for the Mark Thompson Show.
That's going down now. Yeah, over there on the After Party Live channel. So
Out of time. Bye-bye.
tomorrow, Stories from the Sky, David Katz and more. Until then, happy Valentine's Day. Bye-bye.